Thursday, we are getting close to the weekend, in a weekend in which we'll have a pay-per-view which is a tune-up long odds pay-per-view. Let me make sure to check my microphone here real quick. Check. Check, 1 2. It looks like I am good. Thanks to everybody that's going to be tuning in on the archive. The archive views have been very good. Just crossed 5,400 subscribers, by the way. So I appreciate all the new subscribers. Appreciate all the new followers on Twitter. I'm over 1,500 Twitter followers as well. Appreciate everybody coming through in the live. Logan Little, peace to you as well. Centurion, good. Appreciate you. Mic check there. Sounds good. And I appreciate everybody that swings through the lives and the archives. I don't take it for granted. I often mention how grateful I am for things in my life as I come on here, things that I'm grateful for in the boxing world, as well as just in general. And I'm very grateful for the people who continue to swing through here and listen to me talk boxing during the day when I have some off time. And you'll be seeing a lot more content come through on YouTube, a lot more articles as well that will be, I'll be pitching to other sites as well. So check out the articles. I want to get back to writing as well, and a lot more content over on Twitter. And Twitter could be a lot more volatile, right? I put out a video earlier criticizing the pay-per-view coming up on Saturday and got a lot of pushback from it. And that often happens when I criticize a pay-per-view. For whatever reason, there seems to be some Stockholm syndrome going on there, and people complaining about me complaining about pay-per-views. And I know that a lot of people out in the boxing world do not pay for pay-per-views anymore. And I've said it often in the past that that's the reason I think people complain about me complaining. It's the same as me sitting down, paying for my dinner, and then I have people a table over skip the check and then get mad at me for complaining about the food. It's similar, right? So at the end of the day, I'll start off with what I'm grateful for, right? I'm grateful that this is the best sport. When the business doesn't get in the way, this is the greatest sport on earth. You get to watch the sweet science. It's not just dudes punching each other in the face. They're putting their lives on the line as well. And we have to appreciate that. I'll say that off the top because I know people, when I grade on a scale on here, you're going to say, oh, you're disrespecting these B-level fighters for calling these mismatches. No, I'm going off the betting odds. And the betting odds say that these are mismatches. And I'm not in any way disrespecting a Hector Luis Garcia, a Karen, whatever his name is, a Royman Vila, a Damon Nicholson. I'm just saying they were put in these fights for a reason. And any boxing mind out there knows why they were put in these showcase fights. And I often get this from the people who talk about fighter safety, right? And virtue signal. When they talk about fighter safety, they're talking about the safety of the A side fighter, not the B side fighter, because if they were for fighter safety across the board, they would be against these mismatches, right? So in no way, just off the top, am I criticizing any of these B-side fighters. We should respect a Hector Luis Garcia. We should respect a Damon Nicholson. We should respect a Karen, whatever his name is. We should respect the B-side fighters. They're out there putting their lives on the line. And from where I'm sitting, they deserve more respect than what they're getting, because there are a lot of boxing fans out there who don't care about the safety or the well-being of the B-side fighters, but they'll be the ones out there virtue signaling. Happens all the time. OJ22, appreciate you swinging through. My man, Bruce Gass, appreciate you swinging through. And my guy, Chicano Prophet, I know he's on those betting odds as well. But I have people complaining about me complaining, and then complaining about this being a tune-up pay-per-view, or calling it a tune-up pay-per-view. And out there, like, I'm trying to find value in this card, both as a boxing fan and both as a bettor, a gambler. And I have people tweeting me back that there is value there because you can put down parlays, 4-fight parlays to get to even odds. And I'm like, listen, if you have to put down a 4-fight parlay or a 4-game parlay to get to even odds, then perhaps there's not much value there. In other sports, do we have to do 4-game parlays to get to even odds, to find even odds value? In boxing, on a pay-per-view card, we have to do a 4-fight parlay to get to even odds value. And the gamblers, the handicappers, and Chicano Profit will tell you this, anybody who bets often knows when you do parlays, you're basically throwing away money. It's basically a GoFundMe at that point. You're basically donating your money to the handicappers, to the book. You might win, but to say there's value in a parlay, is there value in a parlay? Any sharp bet, the sharp bettors do not bet parlays, and they don't do it for a reason. They don't do it for a reason. TJ, it was plus 175. Shout out to TJ. Chilltown. All right, this is Chilltown. And you're the one I was talking to. And shout out to Chilltown. And I like Chilltown. And anything like, I'm always looking to engage in. I don't want people to take any sort of pushback that I give as criticism. I don't want that. I don't want that. And TJ saying it wasn't even odds, it was plus 175. My point to the parlay thing is anytime you have to do a parlay to possibly find value, is there value in a parlay? Will a sharp bettor, will a handicapper, if they're being honest with you, will they tell you that there's value in a parlay? I don't think so. I don't think so. A parlay is, generally speaking, a donation to the bookie. That's how we look at it in the boxing world. And once again, shout out to Chilltown. I like Chilltown. And I'm not meaning that as criticism. It's just a little pushback. I don't see much value in this card this weekend. Now, the prop bets are not out yet on Caesars. I was looking for them a minute ago. I don't see the prop bets out. So Tank by KO, Tank by TKO, will that get further down the line? Because right now, Tank to win is minus 1,400. If you think Hector Luis Garcia goes the distance, and you see value in that, and you pick Tank by decision, it's close to even, there may be a value there, but the prop bets are not out on Caesars yet, so I don't know if there's going to be value down the line. All I'm saying is Tank at minus 1,400, Hector Luis Garcia at plus 800. I don't see value anywhere there. I don't think Hector Luis Garcia is going to pull off this upset, and that's no disrespect to Hector Luis Garcia, because Hector Luis Garcia is a good 130-pounder. He's good. It's a good 130-pounder. Pulled off the upset against Chris Colbert, but this is a much different task than Chris Colbert. And you have to fight a much different fight. Chris Colbert cannot crack an egg. He can't. Tank Davis, if you lead chin in the air, if you chase a puncher, and Tank is a puncher. And it's one of the things I love about Tank, 25 knockouts in 27 fights. The guy's there to entertain. The thing that's intriguing to me about Tank Davis, and the reason I like him, and people take my criticisms of Tank as hatred, and it's not. It's not. I've said it. Me and D-Style have both said it over the past 2 years. We want to be a fan of Tank Davis. We need to see him step up. We need to start getting answers. A decade into your career, the boxing fan should have more answers than we have on guys like Tank Davis, David Benavidez, and people who have been following the sport for decades. And we see behavior like this going on. Overprotecting fighters, over-marinating fights that should be happening. It's frustrating. We know where boxing came from. We know the roots of it. And we know how far we've come from that. And I don't mean in a good way. We haven't evolved in a good way. Trust me, we haven't. So when it comes to Tank, pay-per-views like this are killing the sport. Boxing has been extremely disappointing over the past couple years. Every fight is on pay-per-view. You know pay-per-view sucks when Mario Barrios was the main event for 2 of them. That's what I'm saying. Parlays are risky. One upset and you're screwed. It's another one. And I got all the props. You ever want me to jump on live, let me know, pal. And we're gonna do that. Chill Town, we gotta schedule that, and I'll get in touch with you on Twitter, and we'll schedule that. Possibly this week, possibly next week. We'll get some betting talk out there for people. But as far as the prop bets, I'm gonna be looking for those. Actually, let me see. Let me look at them real quick to see if Caesar's hopped up with anything. Let me look. I still got no prop bets on Davis versus Hector Garcia. All I got is the over under 7.5 rounds, over minus 145, under plus 115. So close to even odds on over under 7.5 rounds. So like I said, the bookies are saying somewhere in the middle rounds, it's going to start to get sketchy for Hector Luis Garcia, right? And that's what we're expecting as boxing fans. And it's the Tank Davis theorem, and what we've talked, the many layers of the Tank Davis theorem is Tank Davis, and I talked about it on the channel yesterday. I dropped a video. Tank Davis gives up early rounds. He always does. And he's giving up early rounds because it's the reason I like Tank Davis is he's tightroping, right? He's the most economical fighter in the sport at 34 punches per round. That's extremely economical for a lightweight. He's throwing heavyweight numbers as a lightweight. But out of those 34 punches per round, almost exclusively, they're power punches. Almost exclusively. This guy is, he's not messing around. He's trying to knock your head off with every punch. And in doing so, he's going to let you get combination punches off against him in the early rounds in order to pick up your pattern, in order to time you, and then try to catch you, chase him. You start to get confident. Oh, I'm winning rounds against this guy. I'm winning rounds. It's going well. Raleigh is going well. Leo Santa Cruz is going well. Things are going well. Isaac Cruz, although he didn't stop him, guys are having success against Tank in the early rounds, winning rounds against him. But what they don't know is he's timing them, right? There's a science behind it. And then he knocks you into oblivion. And it doesn't matter how many rounds you won at that point. You lost the fight. Matteo Barrios, right? Matteo Barrios was up on the unofficial scorecards through 7, 8, 9 rounds until he wasn't. So that's Tank's game. But we talk about what's a red flag? Like, it's a red flag that we're 10 years into the career and we don't have the big fight yet. We're staying away from top 5 lightweights. We move up to junior welterweight, fight a guy with a Reggie belt. Then when Regis Prograis, other guys at 140 call you out, you say, no, I'm a lightweight. I'm going back down. We talk about the same thing with Ryan Garcia, right? He's fighting 135 pounders at 140. They're going to fight a catchweight at 136. It's that chameleon aspect of it. We're sort of disguising ourselves. We're not going to campaign in a single weight class. We're going to say that we don't care about belts. That way, we're not a stationary target to the top fighters, to our top peers. That's part of the theorem. Another part of the theorem is we sort of move the goalposts with Tank Davis, right? Is after Tank Davis beats a fighter, after we say, oh, that fighter was just undervalued, the fighter was actually better than we thought because he won rounds against Tank early in the fight. And another part of the Tank Davis theorem is he wins all the mythical matchups, so he doesn't have to fight them. His fans fight them. His extreme fans, I'm not going to say his fans, his extreme fans fight his battles for him on social media. So he doesn't have to fight them. He doesn't have to fight them. His fans fight him for him. And that's the part as a boxing fan, strictly as a boxing fan, that I don't understand is I'm not a fan of fighters. I'm a fan of their behavior. So it's sort of foreign to me why you would fight your fighters' battles for them online. Let them fight the battles for them and earn your trust as a boxing fan. And to me, I don't see how Tank Davis has earned this trust to some of these hardcore fans that fight battles for him constantly online. We need to see more, right? We need to see more. We've lowered the standards. And why is that they haven't stepped up to the elite level in the sport yet with Tank Davis? Why is it? Why is it they're saying they don't care about the belts? Why is it they're saying that he doesn't have to fight the fights? He wins all the mythical matchups. It's because it's a high stakes style of fighting. And what happens when he steps in there with a guy with a chin who will outwork him, who is the elite level fighter? What happens? The O may go. And unfortunately, that's been a big pitch to the boxing public when it comes to Tank Davis. And that's my frustration as a boxing fan, is this guy is entertainment on wheels. He can sell in Washington, D.C. He can sell in New York. He can sell in Atlanta. He can sell in Vegas. He can sell in L.A. And it's the same thing I say about William Zepeda. Is you don't have to market this guy. It's my frustration with Oscar De La Hoya. William Zepeda wants the Shakur Stevenson fight, but Oscar won't let him fight it, obviously. Why? If William Zepeda loses to Shakur, he loses a fight. He's still an entertaining fighter. I don't care if William Zepeda loses 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fighters. He's still an entertaining fighter if he loses all those fights. Tank Davis, the same thing. If Tank Davis loses 1, 2, 3 fights, as long as he's fighting those top fights and still knocking some guys in between, then he's still an entertaining fighter. You don't have to sell people on the O in that right column. You don't. Unleash this guy. Unleash him. People think he's in the boxing world. We think that these fighters are bigger than they are, and they're not. They're not, especially when we're comparing them to fighters from previous generations. People don't know who Tank Davis is in the casual public. I understand all the Instagram followers for Ryan and Tank, but these guys should be bigger than they are. They should. Tank should be a household name. Ryan should be a household name. And we see these guys with all the Instagram followers, and we think that they're these trending stars, and they're not yet. They're not yet, but they should be. They should be. Too bad I'll never get $50 from you because Spence will never get the chance to beat. But let's see what else we got. VQ Chris, Al Money. Appreciate y'all coming through. Let's see what we got. Tank has a Canelo game plan. At times it's okay to give some rounds up knowing he'll trap you to catch you with power. That's right. That's right. That is his game plan. But it's more high stakes than Canelo because Canelo has higher output. Tank has the lowest output, statistically, by CompuBox, the lowest output of top fighters in the sport. 34. That's extremely economical. So you have to make every single one count. And he does, because almost every punch he's throwing is a power punch. But what happens when he faces a guy 50, 60 punches per round who's a chin and who can outwork him in rounds and win 7 rounds? Isaac Cruz almost pulled it off. And Isaac Cruz still doesn't have a top win at lightweight. So we don't know how good Isaac Cruz really is at lightweight. That's what I'm saying. It's sort of a mirage. We don't really know how good these fighters, a lot of these fighters are. Like, what happened to Matteo Barrios after the fight at 140? What happened? I want them to unleash Tank, and I want people to understand that I'm not just out here saying this stuff to hate on Tank, because, and I don't care about, look, dude, I'm here to be entertained. Innocent until proven guilty. The stuff that happened last week, it is what it is. I'm still here talking about the fight. I'm not out here just hating on this dude just to hate on this dude. I feel like I've been fair. With all these fighters. It's like, but we talk about the track record. It's like, you got to give me something at some point. We're in an unofficial recession. So you're asking, this new model, this new boxing business model is heavily weighed against us as boxing fans. And I want more boxing fans to speak out as boxing fans and say, you know what? Wait a second. You're putting too much on me. You're putting way too much on me now. You're asking me to pay for all these subscriptions, and on top of that, you're asking me to pay for another paywall behind it for what? What is this? Minus 1500, minus 16. Like the Boo Boo Andre is literally on the longest streak I've ever seen, like a decade-long streak of mismatches. Mismatch after mismatch after mismatch. Boots Ennis is literally fighting a guy that he's a 40-1 favorite against, whose first name is Karen. And that's the co-feature. That's the co-feature. 40-1. The Rashidi Ellis fight, at least that's somewhat close odds. Somewhat interesting. I get it, but Rashidi should be fighting Boots. And if Boots isn't going to get the fights he wants, we've been talking about this ad nauseum. It's like, dude, you shouldn't have a lot between May and January. You should be fighting quarterly. But the issue is he's locked into a contract with Showtime. And that's frustrating to me. There's going to be only so many dates. There's going to be only so much in the budget. So you have a talent like Boots. Everybody sees it. Literally everybody sees it. This dude is talented, uber talented, crazy talented. But we can't tell if his talent will ever meet, of what he accomplishes will ever meet his potential. Because he can't get the fight. So if you can't get the fights, you got to be fighting. Fight the best opposition available to you as often as you can. You fought once in 2022. Once. Against another dude you were 40-1 favorite against. So it becomes a point like you don't care about the excuses. You get disinterested. Why would I care about that career? You've got to fight. Highlight reel KO after highlight reel KO after highlight reel KO. Even if they're mismatches, they're the best mismatches available to you. Fight. Stay in people's faces. Build an organic fan base. And it's what the new age boxing fans, media will not tell you. It's what they will not tell you, and it's what they don't want to hear is this current model of part-time fighters fighting, a lot of them in mismatches. It's not going to build stars. It can't. What they don't want to hear is the traditional model works. It works. Traditions work for a reason. Traditions are solutions to problems that we forgot existed. So when you get rid of the traditions, the problems come back. We're not building stars because we forgot about the traditional model of building stars. There is no new way to build stars. Instagram model, Twitter, all that stuff. Yeah, it's fine. And it may work once or twice, but if you want to build a sustainable star, you still got to go through the fire. You still have to. Don't let them lie to you. You still have to go through the fire. An increasing number of these fighters are not going through the fire. The Zone didn't kill pay-per-view, but PBC Showtime sure is trying. And look, I need people to understand this too, because dudes on Twitter seem to think that I just go after PBC Showtime, PBC fighters, and they pick out the tweets that they want to see is what's happening, because they didn't see all the tweets when I was making fun of the Bud Crawford undercard and saying that Bud Crawford has made some business decisions that are quite shaky in the past. Regis Prograis, another one of my favorite fighters. Regis Prograis could have made it easier for himself by making some smarter business decisions in the past. Bud Crawford re-signed with Top Rank in the past. Bud Crawford, after leaving Top Rank, burnt some bridges to where if it didn't work out with BC, he couldn't go back to Top Rank. You see how easy that is, though? Like, you see how easy it is for me to say that? Because I don't care. Like, if Bud Crawford gets upset in his next fight, I'm fine. Canelo is one of my favorite fighters because of who Canelo has become, what he's given me as a boxing fan. Canelo lose the Bivol. I don't lose. I didn't lose a second of sleep. He lost. Bivol's an incredible fighter. Arguably the most versatile fighter in the sport, the best defensive fighter in the sport statistically. He lost the fight. Guess what he did? 2 weeks later, 17 days later exactly, he announces his next pay-per-view after he loses. And that's what I'm saying. You can't separate. Once you build an organic fan base, once you go out and get fans the organic way, like when Canelo built his fan base, he did it. I understand he had a nice built-in fan base, but he put in the work on the front end. He didn't go currency over legacy. He went for legacy. He built up a base individually, to where if Canelo loses a fight to Bivol, I don't lose an ounce of sleep. 2 weeks later, the dude announces his next pay-per-view, and I go out to Vegas and spend thousands of dollars to watch the dude fight. But it's so easy for me to say Bivol beat him, and Bivol beat him easily. I think I had Bivol winning 10 rounds in the fight, and I think if they fight again, Bivol wins. But I'm still a fan of Canelo, and now I'm a fan of Bivol. But you see how easy this is? But if I go out and criticize Tank or whoever, they're going to be calling me Duke, Hitler. You've seen it all. And they'll ignore the fact that I criticize Trust Fund Eddie all the time. When Trust Fund Eddie tried to get in the way of Zordo versus Bivol to make Bivol versus Buatsi, guess who was the first to call him out? Bob Arum, when he gets out there and starts whining, oh, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't make money off of Haney versus Kambosos. Oh, my God. Feel sorry for me. No. Rematch clause. You agreed to it. Do the fight. You lose money on this one, you still made money on the other 19 out of 20 that you didn't talk about. I'm not going to feel sorry for you. I'm not. So call me what you want. I've criticized Bud. I've criticized Canelo. I've criticized them all. Doesn't matter to me. Doesn't matter. I'm a Chocolatito fanboy. Chocolatito fights Gallo Estrada. I didn't have a problem with the scorecards. I didn't have a problem with it. Gallo beat him. I could argue that Chocolatito won. I can argue a draw, but I don't have a problem with the scorecards. I don't. I could come on here and say Chocolatito won the fight. Chocolatito swept Gallo Estrada, but I don't have a problem with the scorecards, man. I don't. Still a fan of Chocolatito. Even more so I've become a fan of Gallo Estrada each year that passes. This is easy. It's easy. So when these dudes get on here and attacking me personally over Tank Davis and criticizing his pay-per-view, like this question, right? Let's try to find the value here. Let's not look at this as far as betting anymore. Let's look at this just as boxing fans. Can somebody, like, chat, help me out here? What value is there in this card as a boxing fan? Like, you pay your $75. What are you expecting to get? When you pay $75, what do you expect to get? Like when I forked over $39.99 for the Bud Crawford fight, getting criticized for that on Twitter too. Apples to oranges, right? But $39 for the Bud Crawford fight. The undercard was atrocious. I'm not defending any of that. And we could say 50-50 fights, but what I got out of it was Bud Crawford, arguably the best fighter in the world. I know I have very little time frame left to watch this guy fight. And I've been critical about some of the business decisions he's made. But in this case, I feel in my heart of hearts that the PBC has been stonewalling him, and they continue to. So he went the best possible route he could go in order to stay active. I'm going to pay for the possibly top pound for pound fighter. But What do we expect in a pay-per-view? 50 fights are close to it. So good fights. But I would expect close fights between stars or close fights between great fighters, right? And we're simply not getting that from our pay-per-views. We're being told by the power brokers when they come on Twitter, when I complain, and believe me, I get it from the power brokers too. This isn't just fans. They'll tell me stuff like, well, do you want to see your favorite fighter fight? Yeah, of course I want to see my favorite fighter. Well, you got to pay for the pay-per-view. That's the only reason we can do this fight. Why? Why is it the only reason we can do this fight? It's the only reason we can do this fight because of the minimum that we have with this fighter. The fighter is locked in with a specific network. So it's the only way you're going to get to see your favorite fighter fight. This happened after I criticized Wilder versus Hellenius. Mismatch, pay-per-view, not a good card, and a card full of mismatches. And I complained, and I was told, stop complaining because the only way you're going to see Deontay Wilder fight. Well, guess what? This isn't my problem. I'm not the one who built this model. I'm not the one who guaranteed these fighters unsustainable minimums. I'm not the one who signed exclusive contracts with promoters. You guys did that. So you got to find a way to make it work that's sustainable, and it's not sustainable. It's not. It's simply not sustainable. So a heavier burden is coming my way in order to try to keep this sport sustainable. And I'm saying, I'm at a point where I'm saying, no. And look, man, I'm doing fine with money. I'm okay. And I'm not saying that to brag. I don't talk about my money, but what I'm saying is we're in an unofficial recession. Like things are not good. Despite what they're telling you, things are not good right now. And things are going to get increasingly not gooder. Okay, so when times are not good, you shouldn't put a heavier burden on the consumer. That's the opposite of what should happen. Boxing fans are the only ones being told to sacrifice whenever everybody else is raking in the cash in this sport. And don't say that you're pro fighter because you're certainly not pro B-side fighter. That's for sure. That's for sure. And I'm certainly not going to get on here to cap for certain promoters, managers, network execs because I want to see them succeed over other ones. Give me quality matchups. I don't care who it's coming from. If PBC decides tomorrow to all of a sudden flip its model and be a pro fan model, guess who PBC's biggest fan is going to become? This guy here. Got nothing personal against any of these people. None of them. It's the power brokers have to behave in a way to where they reward the boxing fans more than they're doing. You're persuading me to not even illegally stream the fight. And look, I don't pass any judgment on anybody illegally streaming fights either, by the way. Do what you got to do. Do what you got to do. And if you can comfortably watch the fight, do what you got to do. And by the way, I'm not saying like if you want to, I'm not trying to be a fun sucker either. If you want to watch the fight, go watch the fight. If you want to pay for it, have fun. Have fun. All I'm saying is for hardcore boxing fans, we need more in 2023 than we got in 2022. These people are lying to you who tell you that 2022 was a great year. It simply wasn't. It simply was not. There good things happened, and they happened in spots. That run from April to late June, early July was a great run. That was a fun run, but was it fun before then? Was it fun after then? Did you think the last quarter was great? I want to have a fight party and not be embarrassed to invite some casuals. Boots is only a few months younger than Munguia, who's got the better resume by far. That's right. In Munguia, we've been critical about Munguia as well, right? Munguia needs to step it up as well. But the one thing that's different is Munguia staying active at least. I'm not saying that Munguia hasn't taken the easier road at some points. I'm not saying that Munguia didn't pass up on some fights. I'm not saying that, but at least Munguia is staying in people's faces. At least he's knocking guys out. I don't think his ceiling is very high, to be honest, but he's an entertaining fighter. So, like I said, if Munguia ends up losing 5, 6, 7 fights, which is quite possible, as long as he's trying to, it's as long as it's resembling a sport, right? As long as he's saying, no, the belts do matter. I want to be the best. I want to fight the best. And he's giving it entertaining matchups, even in entertaining fights, even in losses, I'll still be a fan. That's my point. I want them to unleash Tank at the end of the day. These wide odds fights need to stop. I want to see Tank go on a run where he fights killer after killer. And whether he wins or loses, I'll become his biggest fan because I know with this style, those fights are going to be fun regardless. All of them. I'll even travel to those fights. Tank versus Ryan is interesting in that they mirror each other in a lot of ways. Both economical fighters who depend highly on knockouts, who depend highly on power. But both guys with thin resumes who need each other. They need each other, or they need a significant win, and they can get that from each other. Both guys heavily reliant on power, but deeply flawed in other aspects. And both economical fighters who will give up rounds against inferior opposition. But they can get what they need from each other. And that can end up being a trilogy. They could be busy with each other for a year and a half. And don't let them lie and tell you that we had to do this fight on Saturday before we got to the Ryan fight. They didn't. They didn't. They could have got straight to the Ryan fight. We could have had the Ryan fight a year ago, 2 years ago. Had not mental health issues gotten away and had not cross promotion gotten away or whatever they're saying gotten away of this fight. Entertainment is what you get in the fight. If you're looking for, you got into the ring. We are still upset Mayweather stole from us fans. It's true. The strippers tell me it's been dead for months. Munguia tried to make the Charlo fight, but Showtime PBC fumbled it with their A-side BS. He is going to beat up Devin. Us boxing fans will watch any boxing match, put gloves on 2 kangaroos, will watch it and then break it down after and argue which one won. Plus, the Ryan Garcia fight might not even. And that's the thing, too, is there's no signed contract yet. It's agreement. We still got this fight in the way, which could go sideways. And by the way, my official position going into 2023 is I want to see chaos. Last year, my official position was I want to see the pay-per-view model fail as much as possible, with the exception of a few fights that provide some value. My official position going into 2023 is I want to see chaos. I want to see upsets. I want to see the power brokers. I want to see their plans blow up. That's what I want to see. Because that's when it's fun, right? That's why March Madness is fun. It's like you go in and you got the matchups and you got the higher seeds versus lower seeds, but then the lower seeds win and the whole thing blows up and everybody goes crazy and everybody enjoys the hell out of it. We need more of that in boxing. We need to see more plans blow up. You want to marinate? I hope it overcooks. I hope it goes terrible for you. I hope when you over marinate, it goes terrible for you. And this isn't anything against the fighter, because guess what? When I cheer for upsets, I'm cheering for the B-side fighter. So I'm not anti-fighter. I want to see the power brokers. I want to see their plans upset. A deal is not signed. That's right. Puro Sor. What up, Calix? Salute to the chat as well. And that's what I want to see. I want to be the Joker outside of the car, smiling, when things are just blowing up. And you can call me anti, whoever you want to call me anti, doesn't matter. I want to be anti power broker in 2023. I want to be anti big time promoter. Whatever your plan is, I want it blown up. I want chaos. I want fun. I want entertainment. I want action. I want more even odds fights. I want less putting fights behind added paywalls. I want more of what's good for me. It is not bad. It's not negative. It's not anti-fighter. It's not anti-boxing to ask for your own interests as boxing fans. Stop letting these dudes brainwash you. The power brokers are getting on here and they're brainwashing new media into brainwashing boxing fans by extension to think that speaking out for your own interests is bad for the sport and it makes you a bad person by extension. It doesn't. Speak out for your own interests, ask for your own interests, be a good boxing. We already have enough Steven Espinozas out there. We already got enough Al Haymans out there, although we don't know who Al Heyman is because he leaks. We've got enough trust fund Eddies out there. We got enough Bob Arams out there. The clones are everywhere. Be a boxing fan. Just be a boxing fan. We're literally, our numbers are descending in America, but also just boxing fans who behave like boxing fans are going extinct. I don't recognize these people, a lot of them, when I talk to them. It's like, why is it that you think that way? And I try to hear them out, and it's not making sense. It's foreign to me as a boxing fan. This is not how people behaved 10 years ago on boxing Twitter. It's not how people behaved 10 years ago on the YTBC. It's not. Something happened in that time frame. Something happened. That brainwashing campaign worked big time. And we're seeing the results of it now. As far as the fight, I think Hector Luis Garcia is going to be competitive when he's in there. I do. I think Hector Luis Garcia is a decent fighter. I do. I think Hector Garcia is a legit top 5 130 pounder. Sort of a weak division, but I think he's up there. He earned a shot, right? I don't agree with this being on pay-per-view. I don't think this should have been the fight because I think there are much better fights out there for Tank that he should have taken. But if somebody's going to get it, I'm glad it's Hector Luis Garcia because he's behaved the right way as a fighter. He's pulled off some upsets to get here. He pulled off a huge upset in which he was a 15-1 underdog to Chris Colbert. So let's see if he can do it again here. It's a tougher task stylistically. But this isn't, don't mistake what I'm saying. This isn't anything I'm saying today is not anti-Hector Luis Garcia. I wish for success. I hope he wins the fight. So I don't see how you can say I'm anti-Hector Luis. I hope he wins the fight. And not because I don't like Tank, it's because I want to see plans blown up. And I understand, I already have people on Twitter calling me anti-Tank because of that. It's not. I know there were better fights to make here. Much better fights to make here, and they didn't. So I hope the plan is blown up. I wish Hector Luis Garcia success. I wish Damon Nicholson success. I wish Karen, whatever his name is, success. I wish Vila success. I wish him success. I hope these cherries end up being poison cherries. And you can take with that statement whatever you want, but enough with the over marination. I hope the over marination fails in 2023, no matter who it is. Chaos, chaos, chaos. Give me chaos. Give me chaos. Snitch. Mayweather Jr. but Munguia couldn't get Triple G. Have you seen Showtime's regular schedule? One fight the next 2 months. Ray Vargas That's what I'm saying. Ray Vargas is headlining in San Antonio. Good luck with that. But that's what I'm saying. Showtime has just become this de facto pay-per-view network. The Zone, and I've been critical about the Zone. Like, the Zone needs to step it up too in the first quarter, and also the Zone lied to people about being against pay-per-views, right? Because now they're doing pay-per-views. See how easy that is? But chaos, chaos, chaos. Chaos, chaos, chaos. And I know they're going to screenshot the stuff. I know they're going to take my words out of context and say, oh, he's anti-Tank, he's he's this, he's that. It's fine. But I just don't appreciate as a boxing fan when I know there are like 10 to 15 fights that are better than this, and they're not giving me this. Instead, they're going to give me that, and they're going to tell me, oh, it's because look what you're going to get on the back end. First, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. I don't trust that I'm going to get something better on the back end. I'll believe it when I see it. That's number one. But number two, you could have given me that now. I know, and I know you could have. You could have given me that now. I know you could have delivered Errol versus Bud in 2022. I know you could have, and you didn't. And you did it for your own interests. And I don't care about your interests. I care about my interests as a boxing fan. You could have given. Hector Luis Garcia will be competitive in this fight until I think eventually, that's my official prediction, I think eventually stop at some point in the middle rounds of this fight. But he will win some rounds in the meantime. He will show well for himself, and he will become another part of that Tank Davis theorem, right? When he's competitive, but eventually loses, and his stock rises because of it. But over time, you'll see the stock of these fighters that rose right after losing to Tank, they'll drop over time. And I think that gives us better value and clearer value of who these fighters actually were when they stepped in the ring with Tank Davis. I want to see Tank Davis against a guy who I know has a great chin, who can outwork him, who is technically sound at the top elite level of his own weight class. And I want to see what he can do with that. He's being promoted as a 3-division champion. Let's see. Let's see what he does against other champions in his own weight class and above. That's what I want to see. Versus Stanionis, this is what I'm talking about. These are the fights that we need more of in 2023 to focus on the positives. Virgil versus Stanionis. I put out a poll. How do you see that fight playing out? And Virgil by knockout was the winner. And it was the winner clearly. And Virgil by decision, I believe, was second. Stanionis by knockout was third, I believe. Stanionis by decision was last. I would have voted Virgil by decision. I think Stanionis' chin will hold up. And I think that's going to be a bloodbath. I think that's going to be a hell of a fight. And Stanionis is live dog in that fight. He's live game. He can win that fight. But Virgil, we're going to start to find out. This guy has star quality. He hasn't been as active. Let's get this career going in 2023. When I start to hear Virgil's manager come on and say, we want to fight 3 times in 2023, and the first fight is Stanionis, when I start to hear Anthony Joshua's promoter come out and say, we want to fight 3 times in 2023, and a possible big fight is on the back end of that, this is what I'm talking about. Get these guys active, get their careers going, and get guys who, in Anthony Joshua's case, he's already a star. Let's keep him a star. And let's get a guy like Virgil Ortiz, who is a possible star, has that potential in the future. Let's get him on that track. Let's get him on that track. And that's what we can do with fights like Stanionis. It's going to make you or break you. It's going to get you on that track, or it's going to be something to where we say, oh, we got to step back here. We got to step back a little bit. But at the same time, if he loses that fight, we don't throw Virgil away. We don't throw him away because you want to see fighters test themselves. And if a guy loses to a Virgil loses to Stanionis, and people throw him away and call him exposed, then guess what? You're likely going to get fighters fighting less fights like that. Where's the value? Who's buying this? You'd be better off buying me next fight in February. Speedy Ellis versus Boots would have been comparable to Virgil Stanionis, but instead cherry pick. And that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And they should have seen that coming. And if they would have saw that coming, they would have got Boots more active in 2022. And they would have been fighting him quarterly. And you don't bury him on undercards that not a lot of people are going to see. And he's co-headlining the pay-per-view, but I'd like to see them on regular Showtime fight Boots Ennis, but it's just not going to be in the budget. And it's going to be explained away as to why it can't happen. And then people who like me who complain about why it can't happen will get criticized by other boxing fans and be told to shut up. People mad Hector Garcia said he looked like a lawyer around a stack of criminals. I mean, he was standing next to Tank. Look, I'm hoping for success for Hector Luis Garcia Saturday. The B-side fighters aren't looked after in the sport of boxing. So in 2023, one of my goals as a boxing fan is to cheer for more B-side fighters. Wish their success even more. So good luck to Hector Luis Garcia. I just don't see value in here, though. I think that Tank will eventually get to his chin. And I hope I'm wrong. On that note, see y'all tomorrow, man. Appreciate y'all tuning in. God bless. Peace.